is 36.
Okay.
So 36, 30, 35, and 32.
Do they dialogue with each other about these things?
Yeah, somewhat. They do. Yes, they do. Yes. My oldest one married a real conservative person from Serbia. So,
Really?
yeah, her father was a pastor at Serbian Orthodox Church in Yugoslavia.
Isn't that something? How did they meet?
She's been in the United States for most of her life.
Okay.
She came as a young teenager.
Okay.
So what's interesting is both. Yeah, so she came as a young teenager, learned English here, and she is she's a gem. She's a real jewel.
So how did he meet her, though? I mean,
he studied to be an attorney.
okay. Really? You have a son who's an attorney?
Yeah, well, he studied to be an attorney. He actually majored. He got his master's in tax accounting, and then he's been working as an accounting manager.
Right.
For a large online bank called Ally Financial, and then
wow.
And decided to, while he's managing, 8 other people, he was going to law school full time. So he didn't get married till a year ago because he finally finished all that.
No, but that's intense, and he made it.
Yeah. So he got his law degree. He has doctorate in JD, I guess they call it. And
Wow.
now he's amazing. The version of the law test up there is pretty hard, so he's taken it 3 times. He's done his 3rd time now. So I think he got a coach the 3rd time to help him.
That's what you have to do, right?
Get it now.
Right, and that's what you have to do. I think that's sensible.
Yeah, he decided to get he found a good job that was closer to his law degree. He's an accounting manager at a large legal firm in Chicago now. He's still, but anyway, he's doing really well, and he's been married for about a year.
Oh, so he's newly married then?
Yeah, 1 year, because he decided to do all that with his law degree. So he, his pursuit towards all that schooling and
Sure.
hard work.
Sure, and that's respectable. I mean, that his wife didn't have to put his wife through that.
Right, exactly.
So how did he find her then? I mean, he's so busy, and is she his same age?
Yeah, well, you know what? They met like 10 years ago at his undergraduate school.
Really?
And so they were really good friends then, and they fell in love later. So it's kind of neat.
What a great story.
Yeah, and it's their first time to marry. His first time to marry. It's like God saved each for each other.
That's really impressive. Yeah. I'll bet you and your wife are thankful.
Yes, we are hugely thankful for all 3 sons, really are. They've all 3 married really well. All 3 are very successful. My middle son is a dentist.
Really? Where did he go? Did he go here in Texas, or did he go?
His wife is the dentist. He actually has a psychology degree, a counseling degree.
That's great.
A master's, and he's doing a practice in Florida. So I couldn't go to him, I guess.
Man, you got all your bases covered there, young man. You got a dentist, you got a lawyer, you got a counselor. I mean, hey, you're set up to have lots of grandkids, a great future.
There's no better job than what you're doing, right? On a good day.
That's tremendous. That's a great story. Well, I'm glad to know that Joe has talked to you, and Joe knows that, because, I mean, he's thinking about that same kind of field, in law. And, of course, I'm working on some of my counseling stuff just for when I retire to give me something to do. And I love it. I've been doing it for years, but I need to get the official credentials.
That's cool. That's what the transferable credentials. Okay, yeah.
And that's what your
Yeah.
son's obviously doing. He's got all
Yeah.
the credentials.
You probably know. You know, it just. You know what? I'm gonna grab a glass of water.
Do whatever you gotta do. You're fine. No problem.
Okay. I know when I get talking, I get thirsty. So.
That's good.
But anyway, you know, my youngest son, a little bit, I guess you heard, but he's works for Campus Crusade for Christ, and he's moved up here. He's buying our home.
Really?
Our old home. Yeah, isn't that something? So, so he's successful.
What's he doing for Campus Crusade, may I ask?
Yeah, he wants to be doing the part of he's joining a new part of Campus Crusade for Christ now, for that does church planning and church expansion.
That's awesome. And so they work with the campus ministry and plant churches near the campus. Is that part of it, or is it totally independent?
He has worked with the campus all up until now, specializing in the Latino population. He spent 2 years in Venezuela. His wife, you get to talk about my son. That's really fun.
No, and it's fun for me too, because I mean that's part of what we're supposed to be doing anyway. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. So he went to right after college. He went to Venezuela for 2 years.
Okay.
And his wife is from California.
Okay.
She was raised in California and Arizona, something. And she went to Dominican Republic with Campus Crusade for Christ.
Okay. Oh, okay. There you go.
1 year stint, and so every 3 months they had to leave the campus
Mm-hmm.
and go to. You're a good listener, you know that.
No, this is tremendous. I'm very interested.
But anyway, they would go to like the Bahamas for
Mm-hmm.
a week, and you know, unwind and you know, regroup and have some training, and that's where they met. So then they fell in love, and then after the 2 years, they both did that 2 years, and so after the second year doing that, then they got engaged and chose to do this full time together, and they chose San Antonio, Texas.
Really? So Campus Crusade gave them an option. They prayed about it, and that opened up.
Yeah, and they wanted to do specialize in the Destino, the Spanish speaking, or the Spanish speaking population that goes to college. So
Sure.
Everybody there, of course, speaks English.
Yes.
In college, but so they very bilingual. They even teach their 2-year-old. She speaks more Spanish than I do already.
That's tremendous, though. I mean, I can't think of a better way than to have your kids be bilingual and your grandkids. I mean, that's excellent.
Yeah.
And that's when they learn it. They learn it when they're young.
Here, you want one more family member here. Let's see.
Oh, who's this?
This is our dog.
What's his name?
This is Shep.
Shep. I like that. I like that a lot.
Said I have to see what you're doing in here. So
Hey, Shep. Good to see you.
until he came, so.
Shep, you're always welcome. You're
So
always
surrounded
welcome.
by wonderful people, you know.
That's tremendous. Well, I don't know if you know, Thomas, but I spent 11 years with a campus ministry.
Okay.
So that's very familiar territory. So I interacted with a lot of Campus Crusade people, a lot of InterVarsity people, and I did that full time as well. So,
Really? That's really cool.
yeah. And we would go into campuses, and then we planted churches too. I mean, that's what I did. I ended up planting a church on a college campus. So that's very intriguing to me. So I have a lot of buddies from in that circle. Yeah.
I love that.
Wow, that's tremendous about your son.
We got a lot in common, sir. Seems like to me.
Yeah, well, you have more boys than I do.
Well, it's a joy. It's a joy having children, for sure.
So,
Boy, Joe was an exceptional person, and
so how did you guys connect to Grace, you and Joe?
it's amazing. We go to
The
He,
G-Hop?
I've been working at Fruit of the Earth.
You have been. I didn't know that.
I seen Joe and never even talked to him. I just another person, and didn't even quite know for sure when he showed up one day at Fruit of the Earth, and boy, you look familiar. And you start talking, and our group in our little group of 6 men in my area, and then all of a sudden he started talking about his church a little bit, and I thought, oh wow, I thought I knew that guy.
So you know my son and son-in-law then as well.
I know your son.
I have another son named Kyle who works there.
Yeah, Kyle. Now that's your son-in-law.
No, Kyle's my oldest son.
Yeah.
And Will is my son-in-law, Will Reynolds.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's true. So yeah, you got a whole family there.
We're trying to take over Fruit of the Earth.
So God landed me there. It's like
well, congratulations. I love all the people that I met from there, especially the owners and their family. They're just tremendous people.
It's like Thanksgiving week is like, wow, I can't stop. There's so many things to be thankful for.
That is tremendous. Boy, that's a great story. Now, let's step back and you tell me about yourself. Where were you born? How did you get here? What's a little bit of your history?
Well, I have quite a unique testimony in a way. I was born in a born again Bible believing church. Parents and family, and went to church 3 times a week every week.
Right.
And knew the Bible, all the Bible stories.
So you grew up in a Christian home, right? That was a Christian home you grew up in.
But the part that's unique is my dad was, when I was about 4 years old, I remember an incident where I was in church, and so I'm trying to give my testimony.
Sure, that's good.
I was in church, and I was 3.5 for the oldest, and I'm coloring, and I figured out later the background behind the story. My dad had done a video of us. We were giggling while we're doing this video, and we're all young, and we're praying right before we ate. And
sure.
We're all giggling instead of praying. So, and had our eyes open and poked each other. He was embarrassed about that, I think. I don't know, but that's my guess.
Right.
But anyway, during this incident, I just quietly coloring during church. And all of a sudden, my dad hauls off and hits me really hard across the face, and said, you got to have your eyes closed during prayer. So it's that somehow that little incident, just my little heart just got so
impacted
up.
Yeah.
My dad,
right,
towards God over that little incident, and I never talked to my dad about it.
Right.
And I don't think he even knows the story to this day. I tell my children quite often, but it's because it's just a part of me that.
Right.
Later, it was probably in the 20s when God really dealt with me and let me know I had to really release all of that, completely. So anyway, I rejected God in the process from coming into my heart and coming into my life.
Sure.
I saw God as a distant figure that was omnipotent and scary, maybe.
Right.
I didn't know. All I knew was I didn't know him.
Sure.
And there were opportunities to receive Christ, and I just maybe a couple times went through the motions of it, but never really let Jesus come into my life in a personal way.
Right.
And nobody at church thought otherwise, of course.
Well, yeah, your family was attending regularly. You were there every Sunday, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I knew all the Bible stories, and they behaved during church for the most part. Once in a while, I'd say "darn," and they were worried about me, but
That's amazing.
but no, but so I grew up with all that 3 times a week. Anyway, so when I got older, I got into alcohol and drugs. And, when I was 10 years old, I got sexually molested by
Oh,
my brother
oh.
multiple times. And that stopped about, I don't know how many months, I guess, that went on. But I don't know how long it went on, but couldn't have been more, maybe a few months, I don't know. And that messed me up.
Sure, that has an impact.
Yeah, and so then to brag on God, my parents ended up decided they wanted to move to Florida, and so they decided I was 17 between junior and senior year, and
It's tough.
they dragged me down to Florida. And while I was in Florida, my dad, we went to church that night, that Sunday night, since we got down to Florida, which is typical for my parents.
Sure. Well, they were just dedicated. That's all. That's what they knew, right? Yeah.
So anyway, while I was there, they said, "Hey, your son's high school age. We got this high school church camp going on all week. So you can, sign him up. You can do that all week, right? So you go around looking at houses all week, So they said, brilliant idea. So they
Off you go.
Signed me up for that, So I went to that, and then everybody in the entire church camp got saved. I mean, gloriously, truly saved, except for me and one other kid at the end.
Really?
And then we were holdouts. And so finally, this is all God. This is like 30 or 40 kids all together in this, I don't know, it was like a tent thing or something, And they were gathering around me, praying, interceding for me, one person. And one guy finally said, do you want to get saved? And I was just being coy about it. Well, I don't know, blah, 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 So, you don't have to get saved. Well, that's not a good choice. So anyway, finally I decided to get, let Christ come into my life at that, during that stage, during that process, during that camp. I didn't know
tremendous.
I told my parents, and they were happy, they said, probably thought, well, you're already saved, but I don't know, they didn't say that either. But anyway,
right.
So, but I didn't tell anybody else, and fell away. It got worse, got more involved in LSD and drinking every weekend, from that summer, I guess maybe June through October. And then finally my dad, I got busted. I still live in a double life. My parents didn't really do it, which is pretty well. And maybe they had some idea, but they sure didn't have any proof anyway. So,
right.
And then finally, my dad found one can of beer in my car. That was busted. He decided his son was going to hell because he had one can of beer in his car. He didn't know the rest of the story.
My, oh, my. My, oh, my.
So he prayed for me in earnest. And then that, when I prayed for me, I had a dream. My dream was I got in a roller coaster. That week, he prayed for me in earnest. I got in a roller coaster. And I looked off in the dream, and once you're in a roller coaster, you're going,
right.
And I looked up, and the sign says "To Hell." And
my.
Straight down, there's total darkness, and I was scared. I realized that's where I was headed. I realized, so I was, and then like any other roller coaster, somehow I came back to where I got on and I got off because God saying this is a warning. And then I woke up, and that, it shook me up so much that I actually decided that Sunday I was going to receive Christ for the first time.
Isn't that
Committed
something?
my life to Christ for the first time.
That's
And
tremendous.
So then I did, and then everything absolutely, totally changed in my life. And I got back and threw away my cigarettes and threw away my hash pipes for smoking, marijuana or whatever. And
What a story.
yeah, everything was totally. My drug buddy said, "Well, I'll give you 2 weeks." Right back.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
So it's 50 years ago last month. So.
I don't meet many people that are older in Christ than me, but I just met one. That's amazing. Tremendous. What a story. Now, tell me, where were you and your family before you moved to Florida? Where did you live?
Oh, we lived in Illinois.
Illinois? Whereabouts?
Yeah. We lived in, my wife was raised in a farm.
Okay.
A farmer's daughter. And lived in one city all of our life, 3,000 people, called Gibson City.
Gibson City, okay.
Little village, I should say.
Right. I grew up in that side's village, yeah. That's my background.
Yeah. And then,
so was your church a
certain suburbs? Grew up in the suburbs of Chicago.
Okay.
At college.
Okay.
And, got engaged after my senior year and got married 2 years later.
And did you have siblings? How many siblings did you have?
I had one brother and one sister, both older.
So you're the younger of the family.
Yeah.
And what denomination were you involved in? It's Bible believing, but do you remember the denomination?
Yeah, Church of the Nazarene.
Church of the Nazarene had that rigid type setup, huh? Wow.
Yeah, they're kind of works oriented. They believe in the second work. You ever heard of the second work of grace?
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've known some Nazarene pastors.
Oh yeah. Well, they're varied. I think
right.
Probably mellowed out over the years too.
But small village, depending on the leadership of the church, it could go either way. That's really the way it is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my dad was. He was an engineer.
Oh wow. Okay, that makes sense.
As a matter of fact, they're both still alive today. They're looking forward to.
That's amazing.
91 and 92.
That's amazing. Are they still healthy? Do they still live on their own?
Live on their own right now.
That's tremendous. What
should be, but they are. Yes, they're so that independent.
Where are they in Florida? Where are they?
Fort Myers.
Are you kidding me? My parents lived in Fort Myers for 16 years. Are they in a retirement community there?
A while right now. They just said that this week. It says, you're only one cause. I call them like 2 or 3 times a week at least.
So they're in a retirement community there, right?
No. Oh, your parents are.
No. My parents are deceased.
My parents, they live in their own home.
Right, and my parents lived in a retirement community there in a trailer.
Oh.
So they would spend 6 months of the year in Ohio and 6 months of the year in Fort Myers.
Okay.
For 16 years. Unbelievable. So you and I could have been in Fort Myers at the same time. So I'm down there seeing my parents, you're down there seeing your parents.
Yeah.
So when your parents moved to Florida, they moved to Fort Myers and that's where you lived, right?
Well, they didn't move then. Then that was just me to get saved. My dad said, well, after all that time, I got such trouble at work for trying to take the week off. I can tell you why, Dad. I got saved. I wasn't saved before.
Wow, that's a great story, Thomas. I mean, that's tremendous. So you're in Florida and you meet, and how do you know your wife from Illinois? I mean, how did that?
Oh yeah. So we spent I lived in Illinois, and right after high school, I went to Olivet Nazarene University.
One of my mentors graduated from Olivet. That's amazing.
Yeah, so my wife went there her 3rd year.
Okay.
School, decided she wanted to be a nurse.
Oh.
Or studied to be a nurse.
Yes.
And so then we met the senior year. Her her roommate knew me and bragged about me. So she was interested. I met her and immediately asked her out to go to some Catholic charismatic prayer meeting.
But you got her heart right there by doing that. See, there you go. She's got a good man right away. That's a great
Anyway.
story.
Yeah, it was cool. We got to know each other and as friends for a year, and asked her to marry me. And 2 years later, we're married.
That's tremendous. That's tremendous. And so then, how did you get to Texas from?
Oh, that was only 7 years ago.
Okay.
I lost my job, and that was, and then the boss's boss realized, oh, he actually thought he was making it. But anyway, there's some foul play about it, but that's okay. So anyway, he called me up afterwards and said, hey, would you like to do, consulting? So I did 2 major projects for him. It made significant more money doing that.
Yeah.
And then I was praying and said, God, what do you want? What's the next thing for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like God said, you need to go where God's really moving,
Mm-hmm.
during these last year, states, So, we're empty nesters then.
Sure.
And so then I got a job offer in Fort Worth at Alcon.
Really?
Yeah. So that started there and did a couple of different jobs, and now I'm here. It's where God had in mind all along. It just took me a while to get here.
But that's tremendous. So you came down here 7 years ago. Did you bump into Grace at that time, or were you?
I went to somebody said go to I realized that one of the largest churches there was, what's the name of that? The one that has 7 branches here in Fort Worth and in North, what's it called? South Texas, South Lake. Anyway.
Gateway.
So
You went to Gateway.
Church.
Is that Gateway? Is that where you
I
went?
went to a prayer meeting,
Uh-huh.
and God had me sit right next to Athena, who from Grace.
Athena Runyon, yes.
Yeah, I said, hey, I'm looking for a church that really focuses on prayer and evangelism. Do you have any church like that? I didn't know she was the office manager. So, oh, by the way, why don't you come to church tomorrow morning? And so I went to church tomorrow morning. She hands me the bulletin the next morning and says, right after church, I'll take you to the house of prayer. Grace House of Prayer. So,
Athena Runyon was something else. Yep.
Yeah, so that was 3 months after I got here. That's where my church home was. Yeah.
That is tremendous.
2014. Yeah. So
That's why I've not met all your boys, because they're not from here. That all fits for me.
Right.
This all fits. So has this been a good move to you coming to Texas? You're happy then?
Oh yeah, it's been great. It's been super. I love it. I said I came for a better climate. It's got a better political climate, better social, better
Yeah.
climate.
Yeah.
Got a better spiritual climate.
And do your boys come here now and then to visit you? Do they come to?
Well, of course,
You're one in San Antonio, yeah, of course.
Yeah, he lives here now,
Mhm.
so we're 10 minutes apart from each other. But the other 2, Matthew is coming. He and his wife are coming this Friday.
Great.
Thanksgiving. And the other son, yes, he has a 4-month-old baby right now, so we have to visit them.
Oh yeah, you have to see Grandpa and Grandma. Now, what do they call you? What do they call you, Grandma and Grandpa? What do they call you?
I had two names, Pawpaw and Abuelo.
Abuelo. Yeah, there you go. You have to have that name as well.
I have the name Abuelo because I couldn't, whenever I wanted to go to that restaurant, couldn't ever say the name for about 3 years. Sounds like an inside joke.
That's funny. That's funny.
Or did I know what it meant either?
I don't know what it means. What's it mean?
Grandpa.
That's what it means. Really? That's tremendous.
So it's just got inside joke.
No, but those I didn't know. I've been to Abuelo several times. Nobody told me what it meant. That's awesome. I'm not Spanish speaking, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, maybe same here.
That is an
So,
excellent story. I'm so glad to hear that. So you were at Gateway before you came to Grace, basically. Gateway.
yeah, Gateway. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. Gateway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Thomas, what a story. I
They
love
have a
that.
good. That's a good church. Too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we still watch them when we can. We catch them, a lot of time on TV or on their streaming live. Yes. My daughter was a member there for a while. Yeah, so we have they're a good church. But Grace is a good church too.
Yeah, just tell me a bit about your church. I've been interested in where you go right now. And
Okay,
is it
did you remember Brad Marvin when he was at Grace?
Brad Marvin?
Brad was involved in college ministry with Lauren Beeg.
Oh, okay. Okay, I probably know him.
So they were both before Steve took over the college ministry. Lauren Beeg left. Brad was on staff at Grace.
Okay.
And 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago, he really wanted to plant a church. Okay, so
great.
his wife had discipled my daughter. Brad himself had worked with my oldest son. Both my daughters have been their babysitters. Brad has 5 kids. One they adopted from the Subi project in Africa.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so when Brad left, we were very involved at Grace. I mean, I'd been there 10 years. We loved it. We had a great situation there. But like Grace has got a bunch of great people,
Yeah.
large church, everything's rolling well.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy's starting brand new. So
Right.
when my oldest son, who works with you, and my oldest daughter, Will's wife, they were good with Brad, so they wanted to go help Brad plant the church. So we're like, why wouldn't I want to go there and help him too? I mean, I could be there with my kids in a church plant, right?
Sure.
So that's how we got there. So it's called Restore Church.
Restore.
Brad Marvin left Grace. He went to a couple other churches because he was preaching some at Grace, but he wanted to pastor his own church. So
Okay.
he pastored a church in Grand Prairie, and then he decided to plant a church.
Hey, how come this thing is backwards where I'm seeing? Oh, there it is.
Okay.
I'm not seeing you large. I'm seeing myself.
Yeah, it's just, you got to push a button, right?
Now, yeah, push the right button. Now
It's okay.
Never mind.
So we just decided to go to Brad to plant a church with our family and help Brad out because I'd known him for almost 10 years, and so we were really close. He had been to our house. We'd been to their house. We did a lot of stuff together. And so they started at Connect Church down off Little Road and 20. We rented and we met at 5 p.m. Then after 2 years there, we moved to the Central YMCA right here in Arlington between Arkansas and Pioneer Parkway right off Cooper. It's actually North Davis. We've been there for over a year now.
Okay.
And we're thinking about moving to downtown Arlington. That's the latest. And that change may be real soon. Just to get a less expensive place to hang out.
Okay. Sure.
But,
Sure.
when Brad started, there were about 100 people that went initially. And probably 35 of them were from Grace.
Okay.
And now
Good.
there's probably 2 or 3 from Grace, couples, families. And I'm one of the old guys. So they need a few old guys in their church. So that's why we're there. Yeah, we're just really enjoying it. So my wife plays on the worship team, and I just do whatever they need me to do.
That's good. Yeah. Amen. Put out chairs and put them back and stuff like that.
We have to set up every week. Yep.
Yeah. It's work. Yeah.
If you got a son going into church planning, you'll hear all the stories.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've done a little bit of that too.
So we're enjoying it. And see, I don't know if you know what I do, but basically at General Motors, this is what I do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, I just take care of people, work with people. So my schedule has gotten so busy at General Motors. That's my ministry. So it just really frees me up, so I'm not involved. I mean, I was on several tracks working with Wayne Kenyon at Grace. I don't know if you remember Wayne. Did you know
Oh, yeah.
Wayne?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And then
Wait, passed away. You mean?
I don't know if Wayne passed recently, has he? I don't know. I think still living as far as I know.
Yeah. No, Pastor Wayne. I said.
Yeah, Pastor Wayne.
Yeah. I said hi to him last week. Believe it or not.
Good. Okay, so when I was involved with him for years, and then of course I did the greeting with Tim Wright. You probably didn't know Tim, and then I did that
No,
for
I
years.
know of him though from
Yeah,
everybody else.
everybody knows about Tim
I
Wright.
met his wife later, which is kind
Yeah,
of
Janice. Yeah, Janice actually started with us at Brad's church, but then she got married. She
okay.
moved on,
Okay.
and so that's kind of the long and short of it. Then Gary asked me when Wayne retired to come back to Grace to take Pastor Wayne's position, but I said, Gary,
Yeah.
this is what I'm already doing at General Motors. I'm helping Brad. And so now James Bedwell has it. So I know James really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's
I'm
got
involved with
okay.
Grace people all over, Thomas. I'm just not in Grace.
Yeah, that's great. That's right. I know. Yeah, you're part of it.
I'm part of the Headland family, so I'm involved with the Headlands, so yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Just a little aside that James, I think, is recovering from COVID right now. So that's
Yeah, it's gone around.
yeah.
My office mate at work has it. We've had a number of people at work have it. So I interview all my COVID people at work and find out how they're doing, what they have to go through. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. So anyway, it's really cool. We got to really know each other. I really appreciate that. It really helps with cementing the relationship.
Yeah.
You helped.
It's an honor to talk to you. It's a privilege. I mean,
thank you.
and
Thank
I
you.
wish I had this
It's really
opportunity
cool.
with every person at Grace, but there's so many people.
Yeah. And I just have to pinch myself that I get to pray with your son once a week right now. He's I think we just feel like God might be in it, so we're going to keep trying it until there's a reason not to.
Yeah, he speaks highly of you, and he's a passionate young guy. I mean, that's why I don't thwart passion. Yeah.
I love spanning a generation like that. It helps me understand my son more. We're trying to connect with him a little more, and it's
Right.
and really help to see, you catch the generation. Maybe they don't even say just some things that they do that, like they love games, computer games, stuff like that. And,
Right.
uh,
That's one thing I've never played with my kids.
right. I haven't either. Not really.
And not because I don't enjoy them, and they're okay with it. I was always so busy. I just didn't have time.
Yeah. I was afraid I'd get addicted. So,
Probably me too.
Yeah. I like other family games. Those are fun. I like those. Are more
Oh, yeah.
interactive.
Yeah, we do a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, my wife and I have had this ongoing thing for 40 years, where I'm intense at times, and my wife is balanced.
Yeah. I think I married the same thing. I think I'm with you.
I would say to her, a real Christian is intense. She said, no, a real Christian is balanced. I told that to our other Christian friends, and they said, well, can't we be both? Probably. And so finally, really opening my eyes, nature is balanced.
Right.
Without balance, those things die.
Right.
If it's too hot or too cold, or it's too, it's too not enough rain, too much rain, or all those things will kill you. And there's a balance. So I'm learning balance, and my wife is my balancer.
Yeah, my wife is mine too. Yeah, my wife's total opposite from me. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm very intense, very passionate, and she's just calm. And she doesn't like conflict. How's your wife do with conflict?
She hates it. She was a peacemaker in her home.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
She over the years, I think she's not running from conflict as much.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, her and I are masters in conflict now. other.
I don't really buy that, but I appreciate your sarcasm.
No, I think
I mean, you're
we see things from opposite sides sometimes.
yeah, we're
We're
opposites.
happily married, so
Yeah,
we really are.
yeah.
Yeah, we do well. We do
Opposites
well.
are healthy. Yes.
Yeah, this week, for instance, I was under unusual stress, and that's what triggers the anger.
Right.
My boss said something about, if you can't do this job, we'll just bring in somebody else, to do this project that we have to do. And this was a major project, has to be done in a short amount of time, and it wouldn't be inappropriate in that case, but the way he said it didn't sit well with me,
Right.
So, he was right. Sure looked at the manual a little bit better because there was an aspect I didn't know. So, and I found out soon after. But anyway, that kind of said, I've lost jobs, and I think I've lost jobs out of anxiety more than out of lack of communication, rather
Correct.
than lack of competence. So
Right.
it's
And say anxiety often triggers that intensity. And for my life, that is what the anxiety was the root. But when the Lord resolved that, then I can be intense, but I have total control.
right.
Where
Right.
before I could go from 0 to 120 at the snap of a finger. Okay?
Yeah.
But the anxiety was the underlying issue for me. And when God went back and took care of my historical anxiety, which was based in trauma, probably maybe yours too,
Yeah.
you can ask my kids and my wife, I became a different person.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh, the story. Yeah. Ben Carson kind of had
Yes.
an anger problem. Yeah. And he, he stabbed somebody in the stomach
Mm.
and would have killed them,
Mm.
but it hit a belt buckle and broke the
Knife.
knife.
Yeah.
So, and then he spent a couple hours in the bathroom by himself. Came out a changed man. I don't know if you ever watched Ben Carson, but he is that different.
Yeah, but look at Moses. I mean, look what Moses did. And then he was known as the meekest man on earth, right?
Yeah.
He had a passion and intensity, but
Yeah.
the Lord had to work with him to get him to a place. And so it's God's work. We just participate.
Yeah.
But
that's right. It's his work. Yeah.
What I'm hearing about you has many similarities, Thomas, with my situation. My dad was from a dysfunctional family. Okay. He didn't have much of a relationship with his family, especially his dad.
Okay.
And my dad would have these surges of anger like you experienced.
Yeah.
And he would haul off and whack me out of nowhere.
Okay. So,
And-
that's
And, as a child, I didn't know where that came from, didn't know how to deal with any of that.
what triggered that? Yeah.
But that was those were some key issues for me that the Lord revealed himself and walked me through, and that was part of the healing process. Yeah. So I think we have some similarities here, because here's the principle that I function by, the models that I've studied. If you're limping today, I meet you and you have a limp. Well, I'm going to say, Thomas, something must have happened to your leg or something to your hip in the past that caused you to limp.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Exactly. True.
And that's just a natural conclusion.
Right.
And it's the same way with emotional stuff.
Sure.
If we go off the Richter scale, high or low, there's a reason. Only it's not, you can't see the limp, but the emotional swings tells me there's something back there that got broken sometime or got injured or got damaged, right?
Reminds me of a doctor when he's feeling around. Does that hurt? Oh, don't touch there. Yeah.
That's exactly the principle, right? So when my sons or daughters or workmates would touch that sensitive area, Dad would explode.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah, but then
I had the
Yeah.
sensitive area. They were just being who they were.
Yeah.
And they would hit that thing and boom.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
here's how I leave. Now my buttons don't get pushed.
That's good.
The buttons have been deactivated that used to set me off.
Good. Good.
Right?
Good.
And the Holy Spirit did that, facilitated that, showed me that, taught me that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And actually moved me back from Canada, where I was planting churches and working in college ministry. Came back here to the United States and bumped into a guy, a pastor, that said, I know this guy, and he's getting people off the streets that have, were in drugs and addicts and out of control, and nobody could tame them, nobody could help them. And they go meet with him for a weekend, and all of a sudden they come back and they're a normal human being. And all that stuff disappears. And I'm like, oh, I know a bunch of people that could use that. I wasn't thinking about me. You understand? I was thinking about all the people I'd worked with, right?
Right.
But that was the divine setup. That was the trap. The Lord got me into the snare right there. And whenever you're working with that kind of thing, it's got to work here before it can work there.
Right. There you go.
And so I've been doing this kind of stuff for 25 years.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I'm a different guy.
Yeah. Praise God.
So
Praise
my
God.
kids,
That's what-
I've apologized to them. They're no longer upset with me. They never frustrated with me, and I don't do it anymore. But
Yeah,
but they
yeah,
know I'm
yeah,
different.
yeah.
So it's lessened the conflict with my wife,
Right.
with my kids, and we just all have great relationships because it made them uncomfortable. Because they were more like my wife than they were like me. Right? I mean, Joe has a lot of characteristics of his mom that are very good.
Calm.
Yeah. They can get
Steady.
intense, but he doesn't get intense as his dad used to, right?
Right.
So-
Right.
What my activity would be to you would be to just simply facilitate the Lord taking us to those areas and doing
Yeah,
what he
yeah.
does. So it's not really counseling with me, it's really my facilitating the process of you
Yeah.
interacting with the Holy Spirit. And I mean, it's unbelievable the
Yeah.
stuff that I've seen happen through the years. I can tell you story after story after story.
Good. That's good.
And so that's